folks. This is me, Vishwasna. I'm the host of this DevOps Chat Series, and this is one of the biggest myths that goes behind like what will be the nature of the security and the DevSecOps world that we are talking about. There is always a niche area that is always there in that world of security. That's IoT, cyberspace, DevSecOps, and even machine learning has a huge amount of demand when it comes to an industry which involves DevSecOps. And over a course of time, this industry has seen a lot. And I'm thankful to Tarun sir because he has made his time and is coming to the chat show and delivering some of his insights that he gained in the industry with 10 plus years of experience and lot of problem statement, of course, a lot of production issues as well. So thank you so much, Tarun sir, for being on the DevOps Chat Show. Means a lot.
For inviting me in
Unmute.
this exciting topic. Yeah.
Yeah, let's just talk about the future of the cybersecurity, the resilience, and the security of an industrial organization, which we are thinking about like at the scale deployment, at the scale ventures which are being created. There is a business problem statement that is yet to be solved, but yet there is always a reason for us to go and look at start the security from the first time. So, what is it all about when you are thinking about the future of the cyber security and the resilience which you are trying to incorporate in the corporate or an IT infrastructure?
Yeah. So good afternoon, folks. On this one, yeah. So I would say I'm mostly into last I think 9 months. I'm into industrial manufacturing organization like ABB, and mostly into edge IoT solutions as well as cybersecurity, which is like also the trending things which are going on along with the robotics. So yeah, I would rather call see what I see like in the future, as more and more devices, the edge solution are connecting to the internet, and we have to there is a risk as well, like we when we expose so previously our things are in on premise, then we move gradually to cloud, and then when we move to cloud, then we have to face the public internet as well. So see what happens is let's start with Alexa. So your Alexa is connected to you can connect to any electrical appliance and ask Alexa to do that, to do this. So what is happening with this ongoing and with the digitization, we need to secure our devices, connected devices, I would say, in a manner that it should not be vulnerable to the cyber criminals. Because what's happening, the cyber criminals are more getting intelligent, because the challenge is they know the benefits and the disadvantage and advantage of both. So we have to apply AI in these devices, so that it must not be become vulnerable, and we need to provide the solutions. We need to incorporate solution. As even I am growing in my career, probably at some point in time would have more insights as I'm going into the designing the solutions going forward. So but yes, I would rather call it as you call it as Internet of Things or industrial Internet of Things, but I would rather call it Internet of Vulnerable Things. So because why? Because as I said, I have the figures as well, and I can show the case studies also as we go forward. So what it
Sure.
is like, it's why it is called the Internet of Vulnerable Things. Because there's a forecast that the number of connected devices, right, will be connected to the internet, and it will reach 18 billion by 2022. So one consequence of this is hugely industry number of potential is to that cyber criminals will try to access these to secure to digital systems. And with this ongoing pandemic, and we there's no we don't know where is the end of this, but so this is giving a lot of advantages to the cyber criminals, and lots of advantages of this digitization. In a good way, it is a boom, but for these cyber things, right, which is happening now and then, this could be a threat actually. That's why I'm calling it as the Internet of Vulnerable Things. So the IoT has a long recognized a specific threat. Like as I said, connected. We have all the appliances connected in an edge network. Like for example, IXI is connected to your household, like switching on the from switching on the smart bulbs, light, electricity. Alexa is connected to everything, like your laptop to your phone. So it's the simple things which we use inside our home are a part of the IoT which we are seeing right now. And it recognizes your voice like Alexa. That's called AI is ingested into IoT. So, but the cyber criminals these days are too smart to actually intrude. Once they get into one of the edge systems, then they can be slowly go through your. Let's say, for example, I'm just giving a layman example. Let's say they get into your Alexa, and then they get into the various devices, and then finally you are able to connect to the, because they're all connected to the internet. So they are then they connect to your laptop where the data is stored, and then the mobile. Then it is then your data has been exposed and vulnerable to the world. So that's why I think this term came, Internet of Vulnerable Things. So IoT, we need to protect these connected devices to with the solutions which can protect our this edge network. I would say, and I think for this one concept, I think I can cover that later as well. But this requires a separate session. So for the industrial, when you speak about the industries, right now, the because sorry, I'm focusing on industries because last 8 10 months I'm to manufacturing industry. So I'm speaking more on IoT, cyber threats related to the IoT. But yes, Vishwas, you can interrupt me if you need to emphasize more on the other aspects as well.
No problem. You
Yeah,
can actually give an industry sector probably is having more insights than what we can think
yeah,
about. Like general
yeah,
cloud deployments are simple web, probably a web facing a DDoS can be a problem. But like when
yeah,
you think of that, there's other attacks like phishing. There's always recon. I think probably reconnaissance tools like Nmap, Burpsuit, and all these things. Early recon tools they are actually improvising every single day.
yeah,
Like it's built for a reason. Like it's built for getting to know what is vulnerable at the end of the day. But there is always a reason that it can also be misused. And it has both the ends. It has good and it has bad. Yeah, we can go on with it. So yeah, you can continue with whatever you really wanted to shine
yeah.
the
So I have
topics
more
towards.
things to represent. Yeah. So, but yes, you can ask some couple of the questions in the between. So, so what solution which at least ABB has come up, and they are working on it from the to protect against this. What you say, the internet of vulnerable things. So as let me kind of, I've prepared some slides so that I can share the audience from different sources to just have a insight. Also it's a text, although it's a textual one, but yes, uh,
Yeah.
as you see, and because I have to represent the solutions from the industry point of view that they can go. And I think it's all there. If you go to the white papers, I was seeing for the Schneider Electric as well as ABB, those two competitors. So yeah, so one is that as well as more widespread in 22, the IoT is also getting sophisticated. So the many organizations are going for the digital twins. It's a pictorial, or we can say the virtual way of representing how your connected services would behave inside a secure network. So they are coming with the concept of digital twins. It's a comprehensive digital simulation of entire system or even business. And then these models are often connected to the operation system in order to model data together. The statistics which I'm referring to, this is the statistics, the Internet of Vulnerable Things. So by 2022, 18 billion devices would be connected to the Internet of Things. That's a forecast. And like as I was speaking, consequences the higher number of potential access points, like getting into Alexa in this example. Alexa won't even come to the picture, but to let you know what are the devices. There could be the sensors, the connected devices connectors, the robotics, the robots, and this is how the intrusive or denial of service attacks, which you mentioned just now, which was occurred. Cyber criminals try to access these actually into digital systems, and this is what I was referring about. Household appliance, how vulnerable it could be, and then the one of the solutions is like moving into digital twins. These are the models which can simulate the entire system or even the businesses. So these are latest trends which I've just put from randomly from the internet, because this is because cybersecurity. Let me show you. Actually, this is the top tech, which is this is useful for me as well. These are the top nine technologies which are going to be trend for 2022. What is the AI, machine learning? I think what you already a couple of people are already coming for ML ops and AI as well, RPA, edge computing, quantum computing, virtual reality, and augmented blockchain, IoT, 5G, and cybersecurity. So what I am into in right now, I'm into this RPA, edge, IoT, and cybersecurity. So mostly into it. But yes, I have quite a fair experience in ML, but not that much. But yes, these are the people who are there are a lot of questions coming to me to which technologies I should prepare. It's an off-topic discussion, but yeah, these are the trends, and we are talking about today with Vishwas according to the cybersecurity. I'm trying to cover cybersecurity in terms of RPA, IoT, and edge. So these are all connected. All these things are connected with the cybersecurity actually. So this is blockchain. If you see, crypto is linked with the blockchain right now, and I have examples of crypto as well, like where there is also been sometimes it's vulnerable to the cyber criminals, how they access the credit card information and all those
Yeah.
things. But speaking in terms of the
Once the hash goes to the hand of that person, that hash is the information.
yeah. Yeah, I think that's why like I think some of the governments are reluctant to give a
Yeah,
go ahead to crypto. It's a
yeah, that's
debatable
true.
topic actually. So
That's true.
but
That's true.
although it's still using blockchain, I would say the crypto, it's so how the currencies are getting exposure to can be see you are giving your entire data. I have not invested in crypto, but you are
Hmm.
giving your entire data. But what I'm sensing is you need to give your data, and they are storing your data through currencies. These are virtual currencies. These are, and like they can access the credit card information, all these things, although they are using blockchain for a crypto. But I think that's why I think some of the I think governments are reluctant, and I think once the clear policies would be in place, I think then they should be given access. But then again, as I say, we are living in a digital world, uh, so we have to be now very I would say the careful in whatever from starting from what we are sharing on the social networking sites to sharing our data to any credit card provider or any organization. I don't want to name, but there are a lot of organizations nowadays offering offering like if you pay the bills we'll get some rewards for you. uh, but these are good things. But see, I would say that yeah, we should be careful wherever we are investing right now, because cyber criminals. This pandemic has given them the liability, the flexibility of attacking and giving and having financial losses. I will explain on the financial losses as well. There are millions of million losses. So what I was referring to one data by end of 2022, like cyber criminals, I think could be the loss of the cyber due to cyber criminality would be equivalent to almost the economy of UK, I would say. This is how the ransomware attacks occurs, and the further slides. I think I can explain more on the ransomware as well. But this is what industries are doing right now. They're moving into digital twins. I think I can cover in a separate session for this one, a detailed one. I'm currently having a hands-on on this, and then probably would walk over what is it. So in 2002, I think I have covered all these things. So any cybersecurity strategy should always include a thorough audit of every device that are connected nowadays to our network, and a full understanding of any vulnerabilities it possesses. So I think that's where the keyword is. I think then we have. I think I would come to this maturity model separately, but I think the challenges that lies ahead. If you like to interrupt any of the things, you can do so, Vishwas. But yeah, but because I will go on this industrial aspects. I think you are on mute.
Sure. But like what makes us click the bait? Like, I saw some attacks and I saw the reports and I'm like, it's a matter of a click which really changed that. Because something like as good as we thinking that okay, this is what we are looking forward to, and the next moment is like that click might have changed everything, and that credential might have changed everything. So what is it all
Correctly.
about when we are considering a lot of clickbaits and all these? Because simple attacks make a huge amount of vulnerabilities come up, and it's a human link which is just vulnerable. That's what I feel about.
Yeah, one of this unusual attack. If you are able to see my screen, one of the
Yeah.
example is the I think you might be knowing it, Vishwa. So the Solarwind attacks, which occurred in early 2020 when the pandemic just began. So
Hmm.
so in the early 2020, hackers startly secretly broke into the Texas-based Solarwind system. In addition to the malware code, I will just try to. Stop it. Just hold on. I don't know why this is coming. So in early 2020s, the hackers were trying to access this system as widely used by companies to manage IT resources. So SolarWind has 33,000 customers that use this system, and then the code creator created a backdoor to customer information technology system, and then it helped the hackers to install more the malware software into the devices that spy on the companies and organization. So this is like SolarWind attack, has told us that up to 18,000 of its customers installed updates, thinking that it will update their system, and it actually entered their system and were vulnerable. The things were vulnerable actually. Just hold on, it's power just got went. So yeah, so you might not be seeing me, but that's okay. I think because there's no electricity, just gone. So solar winds is like they have SEC up to 18,000 of its customer, which they install the software thinking that some updates are going on, and it got into their system, and then it all happened. They were vulnerable. Microsoft President Brad Smith said he himself said that in a that more than 80% of victims are targeted were non-government organizations. So mostly
Hmm.
private of them. So U.S. agency, including Pentagon, and all these organizations were attacked. So were the private companies like Microsoft, Cisco, and Dell. It was a major one actually. So because the hackers implemented it's just like a patching. They released a patch and people installed. Actually, this is what the SolarWind attack was in early 2020. So that's how, and then how who did it? It's all mentioned. This is a very case study. And cybersecurity expert that Russian Foreign Intelligence Services is probably responsible for this attack. So they said that these organization is responsible, but then why it matters? I think this skin is a come of the couple of takeaways. Like it's a very expensive and very difficult for security systems. It has a huge, I think, financial loss when it occurred 2 years back. That not only in the breach of last reason, but it also comes as a wake up call for the federal cybersecurity effort. So this is the starting when last 2 years, I think I would say this term actually was prevalent before 2020 also, but due to this ongoing pandemic, I would say last 2 years it has this word has become more prevalent and gaining a lot of visibility, I would say, because we have lot of connected, as I said earlier, devices. We need to secure these ones. And for I will also try to cover one of the case studies published by ABB as well, how they are like protecting like these these attacks, and what are the points that has been considered, like while introducing this cybersecurity to the connected devices, which ABB has to offer, the products they have to offer to their customers. And this is you can see a lot of things here. And let me go to the challenges that lies ahead. This new generation of digital operation technology is covering a transformational business insights that enable uh, business optimizations and fully. So the more sophisticated interconnected digital devices and process becomes, the more interconnected they are, moving data from inside factories, enterprises to the edge, and then to the public cloud. The more crucial it is for the companies and their industrial technology vendor partners to robust their security systems. So data, because now I will come to the classification of data. Because when you say the data, right, data is the lifeblood of companies, and the more sensitive data, the more attractive is to the malicious actors, stealing or corrupting it. Now we are dealing with the data classification. So what is classification data and why it is important and how to do it? Before I go into it, do you have any questions? I have this classification data to cover, and I have to show this case study as well. Any questions you have? Cross questions,
No, sir.
Vishwas?
No, sir. But like, what do you feel about like the data governance that you're coming up with IoT-based appliances that we're considering today? Like today, I think Power BI can be connected to anything, but to me, Power BI being connected to anything is a sort of a vulnerable issue that I can consider today. So, what is it all about when we are advocating cloud security and a cloud DevSecOps today? When we are in the world where data is everything, data is flowing in the inside the database in and out, but there is also a database schema that can really change. So what is it all about when we are advocating DevSecOps and cybersecurity for the IoT world today?
Yeah, so it's a valid question. So what from my perspective and what I have learned in couple of my experiences, and even as for the my current organization. So the entire data, the solution, the ability platform, it's under whatever that solution we are designing. Those are part of the a secure network layer, secure network, which is a part of, which is again a part of our VPN, the virtual private network. So we have currently we are using the express route for the dedicated connections. So and the robotics solutions are connected to the on-premise systems because they are legacy applications. And on-premise is part of that are ability within ability platform. They are connected with the express route. But when we are interacting with the robots, because they are connected to the on-premise systems, we are using site-to-site VPN tunnel to talk to the robotics, to talk to the robot solution, like through like we have the event hubs and publish a subscriber model. The ability cloud is consist of these event hub and the pub sub model, and the solution like ML for the ML for designing the algorithms, that how the data should be collected, the because the robots have different parts, right, to move, like the connectors, the data collectors. You have different statistics and parameters you need to monitor when you go to the when you go to the leaders, the business leaders, how there are different type of robots. When you talk about robots, we have robots installed in the industries, right? So how they are behaving, the statistics, the statistics, the feeder inside the robotics, that has to communicate. And for that to communicate, and because this is connected devices, so this has to go through some secure tunnel. As of now, what I can sense, right, we are using a establishing side-to-side connectivity with the our on-premise servers, and on us on the Azure side, we have this SQL as well. I would say that's Cosmos was also there for the instruction, but we have the SQL MySQL version of the Azure services. But there, yes, you are right. We are not allowing the connection from anyone. So the dedicated channel IPs we have whitelisted. So for the machines through which the robots are again interacting with. So we have whitelisted the IPs of those machines. The you do you in the Azure. If you go to Azure SQL, you have this data the SQL. This is the firewall thing, right? So we have whitelist only those IPs. And coming to the storage, because the once the data is collected, it needs to store right somewhere in the data lake, analytics, right? Data lake or the storage. We have disabled the shared access signature, we are have not enabled it actually, so that won't be accessible to all. And the classification is based on the RBAC model, right? We have three main roles, right? Contributor owner, and a reader, right? So we are also harnessing the security aspects, RBAC, and the aspects of the Azure as well. The preferred partner, which I think ABB selected, is Azure for designing the IoT solutions to secure their environment. And also we are following the HEPA compliance strategy. And for Edge solution, I think Haver packet is the HP is the where we're considering with the. And also we are also I think they are collaborating with Ericsson, I think, for the communication strategy. So these are some of the partners where who are helping like ABB to design the secure systems, it can be similar examples. I think I don't know how to pronounce this, but there's a Sheridan Electric. So that electrical, it's a competitor, and I think similar goal for Siemens, and they are also designing a good solutions in terms of the industrial to protect their connected server devices with the cybersecurity. But in our solution, I think we are using the secure tunnel and some of these things like whitelisting the IPs and disabling the shady nature and following the RBAC model of Azure to protect ourselves and also controlling the access of the on-premise servers to all the authorized persons of the organization. And yes, there are a couple of more tools we have installed in the servers itself, which are like Silence are there, and to who which scans the servers to every day on like off business hours, when we have less traffic from factories. So we are also using the tools authorized by Microsoft to scan the on-premise servers as well. But inside the Azure, I think we are using that Azure security center a lot, and relying on the vulnerability reports which they have been generating, and and then working on those, yeah, based on the recommendations from that Azure
Yeah.
security center. Uh,
And
Security score
yeah,
is very important, I think.
yeah, security score. That's the best thing to have as a matrix. But yet, there
Correct.
is no other matrix to say how secure is your DevSecOps network, because everything is changing. It's not about the mean time to recovery here, because a lot of times uptime is also not an DevSecOps parameter as well. So you can continue with your slides. You can continue with the white paper that you wanted to convey. Then we will move on with the questions.
Yeah, I was just seeing classification. I think I can cover later of, but yes, I think this was some of the things which I saw I before just sharing. So this is so protecting data and enterprise industrial cybersecurity. This is one of the if you go to this one, so cybersecurity protecting data. This is just opening in a PDF format. So, protecting data with surprise industrial strength cybersecurity. This is one of the As a leader in digital provider, ABB provides 360 cybersecurity data protecting capabilities. All ABB ability solutions are designed with security and top of the mind. This covers, I think, this white paper covers the situations ABB's approach to cybersecurity, how ABB protects against the full range of cybersecurity threats, and ABB security starts with the platform. So I will try to cover in them in a brief. A couple of things I've just captured from here. I think this I was speaking already, spoken about this, moving from the data inside, because it's all the movement of data which is moving. Data is only moving from factories, edge solutions, public cloud networks. It has to travel a lot of distance and then it has to come to the companies, the factories. So in order to do that, we need to deploy a robust cybersecurity system that can deal with this. So one key insight driving ABB's IoT, industrial IoT cybersecurity is that OT industrial companies undergoing digital transformation can leverage the hard-won long fight of this IT to leapfrog to an advanced state of the IoT solution. We have soft security threats countered by soft security ABB risk migration mitigation. Like industrial customers live in a world of increasing soft security threats which are going on, putting the risk of potential catastrophic losses to business. The number of cyber attacks harming businesses, frequencies, and the global business value at the now become the statistics, but these are old one, 2019. So the global business risk value from the cyber crime over the next 5 years is US dollar 5.2 trillion dollar. This is the cost of cyber secure crime study, which evaluates cybersecurity across 16 industries and 3 to 12 countries, along 11 in countries. So this is some of the statistics which they have been posting. So ABB ability range of cybersecurity and data protection solution empowers customers to monitor and defend equipment and process, anticipate and identify risk, detect vulnerabilities, protect company and customer to respond quickly with the results. But then now here comes the ABB. Even I was reading it. I was just going through this white paper today itself. So ABB is approach to cybersecurity. So what is the approach which I think ABB is following? The so the balance of this paper will details the elements like the role and significance of ability solution, cybersecurity standards every ABB ability solution must meet before releasing to the customers, and how it protects against security threats, edge communications and data protection, details of ABB supports for the strengthened global data privacy, how ABB provides cybersecurity protection through their product lifecycle SDLC, and how the data protection best practices are being performed. So when you say about the ability platform, is a set of what is ABB ability platform? It's a set of the common software technologies and services for the device, edge, and cloud. It enables a rapid creation extension, the deployments, the ability cloud, like which is Azure, a key component of the platform, utilizes Microsoft Azure to support connectivity and deliverables of web services. This is what pretty much I've been working into. So now cybersecurity is a continuous. Like if you say you were referring about DevSecOps. So even the cybersecurity is a like CACD. It is also a continuous process that never complete. It's a continuous evolving, because as cyber criminals are getting more and more access of our environment, like I think they're learning new methodologies and new things are coming in cyberspace. I think this is so I would say like continuous integration and deployment in this DevOps world. This cybersecurity is also a continuous process that's never complete. And there's some of the I would say three key principles of AV that applies while protecting the data of the customers in the cloud or in transit between the cloud and the customer side. So first is the standards, then the partners, and then the IoT builds of rights. So standards, when you say ISO standards which they are following, we pay close attention to the evolving data ownership and stewardship standards. So we are following the GDPR policies as well for the data protection. That includes Japan, California, and Canada. Partners are there. We has chosen, as I said, ABB has chosen Microsoft Azure as a cloud provider, with the partnering with the innovative companies like HP for the edge solutions, Dassault Systems for the digital twins, Ericsson for the 5G and the trusted networks. So, So one criteria for partnership is like there's a criteria actually. Each partner organization must be secure enough, should have a dedicated protection security of the customers intellectual property and data privacy, just ABB. So this is what like the two things like standards, partners, and the third is the IoT, industrial IoT bill of rights. Like this is like more on the business side, I think, but I would say to clearly lay out what customer data is collected. So I have referred to my earlier session as well. You should aware of like what data is being collected, why it is being collected, and how it is going to be used, how secure, and how customer will benefited. These are some of the questions when you are sharing also data to anything. You should ask yourself like as a consumer, you will ask these things: for what you made, hey, why, for what my data will be used, why it is needed, and how you are saying it will be secure, and how I benefit while sharing this data, and what IoT providers will do with their data should they stop consumers. So these are a couple of questions I think you should ask while sharing any data in this digital world. And this is how ABB protecting the against the full range of cybersecurity threats. Like one is this is called Stride. So they are the response, the ABB response to service mitigation is a Stride method. Stride is Stride threat environment. We'll go to all these things. Stride is an acronym for spoofing, tampering. I think that's what you were referring to. Will come repudiation, information disclosure, and denial of service attacks, and escalation of privileges. Like this is what Stride. So AV tactical response is a Stride threat environment pictured here, which are followed by a industrial company like ABB, and here are the threats and how the AV platform defends against them. One is what it is, like what it is exactly. Cybersecurity threats and AV best practices which are spoofing. Spoofing, you all know, right? Like the act of falsely disguising a common communication from an unknown source as being from a trusted source to insert malicious data or a patch inside your server and hijacked a shared access signature token. That's why I said, right, we have disabled shared access signature as part of while designing our architecture. We have disabled this shared access signature because this could be one of the spoofing method which can be steal the data from the solution. I think let me kind of maximize it so that it is more visible. So this is like a denial of service attacks. So like spoofing can compromise emails, phone calls, obviously whitelisting address, anything can be spoofed actually these days. So how it is being defended here is like enforcing strong authentication like X.509 public key certificates, preventing unauthorized copying of SAS by passing the token securely. With a SAS, right, when you use a SAS inside a storage account in Azure, it comes with the expiration. So generally people don't use expiration, but we should use the expiration. That's what they have mentioned here. The key should be valid up to a certain time, even if it's a test thing which a developer wants to do in the system. We actually give a specific time which they have to perform the access to the storage account to collect the data from the data which has been captured from the robots to the storage account. So we sometimes disable this SAS token, and there is an expiry limit which we set. So this is how Dave is doing to deal with spoofing, enforcing strong authentication requirements for all users of ABT solution. Now comes the tampering solution, like a tampering, like modifying or destroying data so that so the attacker can, among those, add or remove some functional elements or change the purpose or operation of a solution or a system. Like tampering is like, you know, right? What's tampering? So now how ABB is defending here is like ensuring the network transfer uses a mutually authenticated TLS. So this is like, I think I can tell on this one TLS. So what's happening? I told you, right? We are using some on-premise servers to contract with the robots and collect the statistics and all. So we are ensuring in our servers we are having a latest TLS 2.0 installed in all our on-premise servers so that the TLS version is updated. This is what we are doing. And the second case is saying that in the case of tampering, data stores in Microsoft storing the database access keys Correct. This is also we are doing. Not only this, like not only showing the Azure SQL username and password, like we are showing the certificates as well. With a CI/CD, this is what you call a DevSecOps. Like I've covered in the earlier session as well. So Key Vault, you can refer to that. So Key Vault, showing all these things not in a code, rather not committing in a GitHub repository, rather storing in the accessing from the Key Vault, adding a task in the CI/CD pipeline to fetch the data from the Key Vault. I think this is pretty much every organization does, but this is just one of the things. TLS, Azure Key Vault, and then VNet, secure VNet, which I also mentioned, which provide direct access to the database from the internet. And then whitelisting only those IPs which needs interaction with the on-premise servers, that needs a data access or database access. So this is a couple of the things for tampering which we are doing. There are lot to it actually, and I think you guys can just you can download. This is pretty much available. On the internet, and then you can just see what we are doing here for the cybersecurities. And I think you can go to this stride model which has been followed. So for reputation, attackers often try to hide malicious activity to pro. So I think there's a lot of things to there. But quickly covering denial of services, yes, which is the most common one. Attacks which flood a system with so many requests that the system on which solution is running into can very low speed. It's there denial of service. What ABB is doing a strong anti DOS capabilities for the Azure platform on which ABB solution runs. I think that there are a lot of more to it. I think this is like you guys can go through it and a lot of things to learn from it. And this is pretty much a solution which has been designed, and this is what I was explaining on premise. I can't show the detailed architecture, but yes, this is as it was there in the white papers as well. I think this is where it is. Yeah. So this is you can
Yeah,
see, yeah, how
that's
things
true.
are. But
That's true. And over a course of time, we have realized that there's always a big mistake that organization does when it perceives cybersecurity. And it's a win-win situation that we are looking forward to when we are looking for the DevSecOps world. So right now, there is always an takeover that always
hmm.
happens, right? There is always a bug bounty program which is always given to somebody, and that guy will come out and say, okay, this is what we are going to do. And now there is always a chaos that is always needs to be perceived in a real and a good fashion, or else it's going to be so bad in the culture of an organization. So what do you think is the right way of perceiving chaos in an environment that we are there? Let it be testing environment, you face a chaos in there, that's not a problem. But when that same code gets pushed onto a production, there lies the problem. So what is it all about when we are perceiving chaos and learning from it and building a culture out of it? So that's what DevSecOps is all about to me here.
Yeah, of course, you're right. So, what's one of the scenario which I've encountered here is like, so what has happened like while implementing the pipelines, right? So, the practical thing which has happened for the dev and the test environment, the developers were not scanning the images that were pushed to the Dockers and then subsequently to the containers, for running the code. So they were not scanning. So and the other thing is the security center was not implemented on the dev and test descriptions. So what has happened, their code was finally passing without any issues, and they didn't introduce any scanning tools for scanning the Docker images. So what has happened, so but in production we happen to have already enabled Azure Security Center. So those vulnerabilities got starting. There were a lot of alerts. Like then I saw what is this. Then we went to developers to at least introduce some security scans inside the pipelines to be used, so that they can during the build phase they can scan, because these are part of the build phase itself. Like not also the build phase, it's a part of the CI phase to scan these images before it is uploaded, because when you are uploading to the ACI or ACRs, it should be not vulnerable. Like I what the vulnerabilities, what I'm saying vulnerabilities, or these vulnerabilities were to the OS scanning. So they were vulnerable, like Linux images were vulnerable, Debian images were vulnerable, like obsolete versions which were being used to store to in the production systems. And when we highlighted this, then they said, okay, we will introduce these things. But I think visibility is more important. You should be, as a DevOps guy, you should be in an active eye on the. You should have the observability. You should be good in those parameters, performance monitoring and observability, because that's also comes under DevOps. So once you monitor these aspects, then only you can suggest the development teams to introduce the security tools to scan the images. So this is like one of the things which I have encountered, not implementing low environment but directly pushed to production, and which was fortunately for I think one of the solution, they didn't expose the Docker, but one of the solution had public access of the ACR, which was not good. Then at least we, because implementing fix to a image is a long term solution. First, they have to go all down to dev stage and then prod. So what did was to disable the public access of the ACR, because to prevent these kind of attacks, first at least protect your Azure environment. If not at the because I know developments will take time to scan the tools. They have to study the tools and how best it can be integrated with a Python based code or a Java based code, which is generally used with the robotic solutions. So they have to align according to the tool. So the first thing is we mitigated, we blocked the public access to the ACR to the public. So I think and bring it to the private network by linking to a VNet. So I think that's what we did as a mitigation, and then slowly teams are doing the investigation and fixes according to the development. So yeah, I think we need to be more resilient, we more to observability things, monitoring things, because that's also part of DevOps. This is what I think I can think and best comment on your question.
Yeah, and also like there is always an cyber operation and an information operations. That's the channel that we go behind, right? DevSecOps
Mhm.
is that. Like, what if there is a Metasploit payload which I can deploy? What if there is a new way of retrieving the secrets? Like, what if Key Vault has a bug and there is an always a reason for going absolute towards that? So, what should be our approach when we are finding a culture of cybersecurity in an organization today? Like, how should we bridge the gap between the cyberspace and the DevOps, according to you?
Um, like yes, how should we bridge the gap? So the gap, like what I say, I think pretty much I think dev teams are following at least the like as we are advancing to industrial revolution 4, I would say people have for securing the credentials and all those things, they are I think well enough user educated to store these critical credentials on the key vault. And only so what ABB has done is like I think most of the organization does. I think they are user educated now, like providing a service principal access to the key vault, and only couple of users should have the the reader access even, and only few of them would have should have the delete key and secrets or update secret permissions. So those permissions should be controlled via some SPN, and individual access should not. We should refrain from providing any individual access to Key Vault. There should be a one service principal which is connected to the DevOps pipeline, and that should be only accessing the Key Vault. Individual access, we should disable it. Whether you and me working as a developer, it should not be provided. Like that's the best practice I can think, and even I have been telling to the current teams as well. So to secure the environment, and that particular SPN should have the access of the pipelines In a layman language, yeah, in a layman language, I think the individual access are still, I could see it as people are still providing. I think we should refrain from these aspects, and because storing credentials on the keyboard and certificates, PFX certificates, which can it can be compromised easily. So I think individual access is, I think, still see that even in the last organization I could see it was there. But I think this is still a gap, like one SPN. As far as how I have seen evolving the DevOps and integrating security, I think this is where I feel inside Azure platform this is still been lack. People don't have user education, and so we need to be more resilient towards it. We need to be very careful, because yeah. So what happens in the operations, right? When working operations team, although it doesn't happen, so but whenever there is some situation when suppose first of all we should not do, but if the credentials are even compromised or shared, they can play with your credential and delete anything with the secrets in the keyboard. So that's why I refrain on these things. And also in the keywords, while you are using it, uh, I think some IP should be enabled so that only those people with the specific trusted IPs, it is there in the Azure entity chapter actually. The trusted IPs and the geographical location should be enabled to, so that only few of the users could access those services and not all. This is, I think, we are still not using Azure identity protection. I would say, because people are not aware what is identity protection, they leave these topics like as it is, because they feel that this is not important. But trust me, uh, whatever I've seen till now, I think once we implement and this identity protection for Azure, which I'm just talking about Azure here because I've seen Azure. So if we use it effectively, I think if you use the features of this identity protection, I think we can protect anything. Like a lot of options are there in identity protection, starting from the IPs, geographical location from which you are accessing, and then you can control anything with your SPNs. But yes, I think there is a gap on the. We should use these things effectively. MFA is generally implemented, so that's why I'm not focusing on MFAs. But I think geographical location and IPs through the identity protection, Active Directory concept, these are Active Directory concepts. People ought to ignore these things. But what I feel like we should use these services which offer ample amount of opportunities to uh, prevent us from the cyber security attacks, and that's where a couple of gaps I see actually while designing a solution based out of Azure. Yeah.
Yeah, lately, there is always that one question that starts in my head when I think of DevSecOps, like where should the journey start? And like, when we think of CVE and CVSs, there is always that one thought that comes up like, hey, it's just numbers, right? Can we neglect it? Like
Mm.
CVE 202 something, like it's always that. So now when we are pioneering a way and we are now pioneering a culture, there is always a research team that comes into the picture. It says that,
Mm.
hey, this is what security looks like to you from my perspective, and everybody has a new perspective on the security. So what is it all about being truthful in the world of DevSecOps today? Because over a course of time you can't neglect some things, and over a course of time you should be pioneering from the beginning. So, where should the journey of its security start in an organization? And also, what's the impact of research that goes behind the DevSecOps world? Like, how should be they pioneering the way in which the pipelines have that flow of code, flow of artifacts, and the things like that?
I think to start with, you when you are architecting any solution, you should. I think I've this highlighted that. So, as a you should prepare your architecture in such a way that as a consumer, if you share, because cyber how this cyber word came, it is all because of data which we are using right now. So when the data is being compromised, that is flowing between the connected devices, When the data is compromised, then you are vulnerable to the cyber criminals. So to I think to start with this security aspect of DevOps is like you should first protect your data. So the protection of data is based on, you should know how the data has been classified, public, what should be on public, what should be the internal, what should be confidential and highly confidential. And the other aspect is as a consumer, because when you will design the solution, customer, we need to share the data, right? We need to get their confidence to store the data in the cloud, in our cloud, which we are the solution which we're designing. So you need to answer these questions yourself, like I think which I've mentioned, how this data will be used and for what it is being connected, what are the benefits, and how and why it is being collected. So I think these questions, if you answer yourself, considering that you are a consumer, then you are getting a solution. Like these couple of what, how, and when, uh, these questions, if you are able to answer, I think you can design your solution in a very secure manner. Because as a consumer, if you think about these question and answers also, then it is then when you start creating your architecture according to the cyber securities, and then gradually, if you are designing, keeping these things in mind, how because he see the idea is you need to enable the trust between the customer and the solution which we are designing. So to build that trust, you need to answer these questions. And the STRET model, the model which I think I was referring to, which is followed by ABB. So this is simply that the STRIDE model, the spoofing, tampering, reputation, and for denial service escalation privileges. So couple of these things you need to keep in mind while designing the solution. And yes, how the data will be, like the what are the security standards this guy will be using. Because if you're sharing the data, you need to know the protocols which that company will be following, right? So how what security standard, like ISO or HIPAA compliant. So what compliance would be followed by the company to protect my data, and will it be encrypted or not? So what are the tools which will be doing for the encryption? And I think these are the couple of things I could think of. So while designing the solution or starting with, yeah,
DevSecOps, yeah.
yeah,
That's the catch. That's the catch in the industry. Like you know that okay, this is going to be vulnerable, and how are you going to be
yeah,
compliant towards it? And lately, organizations have realized that okay, we have neglected security for a while, so
yeah,
let's just emphasize on it, and everybody is behind
yeah,
it. I think thank you so
correct,
much, sir. Thank you so much for such great insights, and you brought up the ABB paper and the white paper, which is always there. And ABB has some amazing white papers, customer stories in Azure. I think probably anybody who really wants to learn, I think go back and learn back what
yeah.
ABB has to offer. I think it means a lot
Yeah,
when we
even I
understand it.
learned a lot of things. I read that happened to read today itself, but I think I need to read whole article. It's a good one,
Yeah, it's
15-page
actually a
one.
good one. Yeah, yeah. Even
Yeah,
about the ability platform, there is a white paper. I think that's awesome.
I think
You
it
guys
should
have
be there. They
Yeah,
are
there's
publishing.
one white paper.
They
Yeah,
they are
there's
publishing, and I think I think before we end up, there is one more thing. Public site, again, a public site of ABB. I think new.abb. So these are some of the. Before we end, this is the final stats I can put before we end this session. Good to end these stats. So 60% of the factories have experienced critical cybersecurity incident. 75% of factories have experienced a cybersecurity incident that halted production. That's 62% of countries saw an increase in the computer attacks in 2020 compared to 2019. And this is the amount which is on a screen. Average annual cost of OT specific malware attack for the organization. This is all I think. I think you can. It's a public site, so you can just go through it. And this is like national controls are under attack. So this is for not only ABB. This is for I think all the industries. This is the overall
stats.
value
Yeah,
stats.
it's a
Yeah.
stats which says that.
So you can imagine
Yeah,
that this figure.
Yeah, numbers speak a lot. Numbers speak a lot.
Sure.
And yeah, I think thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much for such great insights. And we'll end the broadcast, folks. If you have anything, do connect with him and also make sure that you reach out to me or else Tarun sir for any other things. And yeah, I'll in the description I'll put all the links that he mentioned. And yeah, we're good
Yeah.
to go. Thank you so much, sir.
Sure.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We'll end the broadcast.